everybody. Welcome to the SnoWest Show, powered by TrailsWest RPM Trailers. Build your trailer at trailswesttrailers.com. We've got an awesome show lined up here with Steve Martin. Drove up here this morning from from Wyoming.
Yeah.
Geez, you had to come through Utah, though.
Yeah, close enough.
All right. Now, it's never close. This is my brain at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
we do a 10 a.m. podcast. It's just going to be whatever comes out, comes out.
And it's a Monday.
Mondays. That's not going to help. And then we have a SnoWest test rider, regular on the podcast here. You might as well take over hosting duties, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe next time I'll host it. So.
Yeah, you probably do a better job than I can at this point. I guarantee you. Justin Stevens, SnoWest test rider, been with the show for years. Formerly Motorfist marketing manager. Like, you've been in the industry a long time. Had a lot of different hats, done a lot of different things, content creation.
Yeah, I've been around a while. I'm getting old, so but I love being part of the sport. Love the sport. It's just an awesome thing to be part of. So
yeah, it's fun. Well, and it's fun to get guys up here like Steve. And just sit and chat. Like, we're gonna get in some funny stories here. We went to Austria of all places. Like, did you ever think you would wind up in Austria?
No, never.
In this sport, as an ambassador, as a racer?
No, not at all. It was what a unique experience.
Yeah, like walking down Vienna, Austria, and you're just thinking, like, how did I wind up here?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that was the coolest experience.
Yeah.
So Ski-Doo, Ski-Doo owns Rotax, bought Rotax in 1970, and Rotax has been making Ski-Doo's engines since 1962. I'm looking down at my cheat sheet for reasons here. So Bombardier at the time buys Rotax in 1970. Then Bombardier goes through this kind of I can't remember even what it was, the details, but they kind of go through this phase where it eventually leaves the Bombardier family and then comes back to Bombardier family as BRP.
Yep.
So Bombardier makes airplanes now, aircraft, and BRP makes all the power sports stuff, all the cool stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was
those UTVs.
It was interesting on how they landed on Rotax to me too. They initially had a Kohler 4-stroke in that thing, and Joseph Amon Bombardier wanted more power, and so his son went to Austria and it's like, you have to check out this company, Rotax. They have a really cool 2-stroke. So that's when in 1962 they had an agreement.
So what do you think the horsepower was on that Kohler? Like 8?
Man, it might not even been that.
Yeah, like he's like, oh, we need 7 horsepower.
Yeah, exactly.
What I would give for 7 horsepower.
Yeah, exactly. Look at where we are today.
Yeah. Look at these 180 horsepower factory turbos.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think he'd be proud to see where it's.
He'd be pretty dang stoked. Do you think he'd be a mountain guy? Do you think he'd be coming out here like Fred and those guys?
Yeah,
riding deep snow.
Yeah, I think he probably would. Yeah,
just tail walking through the trees. Yeah, I think he would be blown away by what they've done with these. So Rotax still is based in Europe, based in Austria. It started in Germany.
Correct. Yep.
Before World War II. Yep. And then because of World War II, they relocated to Austria, and that's where we went and toured. We went through the Austria plant. They've been there since, I didn't write that down, so I don't have that note, but long time. Been in Austria for a really long time. But Rotax, under the BRP umbrella, with Ski-Doo BRP owning Rotax, has expanded like crazy. Before we get into like what you and I did, just a couple notes here. They've produced over 10 million engines, and wow. These are engines, aircraft, watercraft, boats, snowmobiles, ATVs, UTVs, spiders. I don't know what you call those. 3-wheelers.
Yeah.
Motorcycles. Can-Am.
Yep.
Electric engines, 2-stroke engines, 4-stroke engines. But only one really matters, 852 E-TEC turbo R.
Right.
But 10 million engines.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it came out of that place that we were walking through.
And then they've really nailed down they have a great reputation for reliability and performance.
Yeah. Huh. And I was doing, so they just dropped that video about the 850 E-TEC. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did.
I posted that. Did you watch that yet?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
There's some cool info in there. And they've got some of the guys that we met at Rotax, some of the guys that we met at Ski-Doo before, talking about how the 850 E-TEC development process came along. There's so much technology in these engines these days. It's mind-boggling, especially if you grew up in the era of carburetors.
Yeah.
And the heads, where you were, back in the day, you could take the purple head off of a Rotax and,
Yeah, you could actually
take it
work
to the
on
shop. Yeah, you can actually work on them.
Nowadays, you don't
get in
dare
there
work
with your
on 'em
Craftsman
'cause-
wrench and take the head bolts off right there. But just the technology, because now you have that whole E-TEC injection system right there, top of the cylinder, which injects right into the combustion dome, right next to the spark plug. It's to me, it's mind-boggling, but I'm dumb, so I don't know about you guys.
No, I'm in the same boat. It's back in those days you're talking about. It's like we were searching for performance, but I've never once said, "Man, I wish I had more power."
Yeah.
You know that they're. It's nice. I put gas and oil in them, and I don't ever open the side panels anymore.
Well, and we don't, we used to talk about power delivery a lot, but we don't really that anymore because this is so hard. There's nothing really to complain about, like all the brands. There's just not a lot of problems with the power delivery these days.
Yeah.
It's just dialed in.
Yep.
Yeah, especially with the factory turbos. I mean, that's been one of the most impressive things to see. I think that was something that people always sought after, to get more power out of the machines, but it was always an aftermarket solution. And it's funny because I think I've kind of avoided turbos in the past when they were aftermarket, because I had a lot of friends that couldn't get out of a trailer and didn't get to ride that day, or had issues on the hillside, or were always tinkering to get them dialed. And it's just not something you think about. I don't ever think twice. Somebody says you want to jump on a turbo, you're like, sure. But like you said, you never open the side panels. You never think twice about it. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And how they came up with that, because Steve and I got to sit down and talk with Roland.
Yeah, Roland.
And just have like this half-hour one-on-one conversation with the guy that came up with the E-TEC Turbo R, the factory turbo, and then the Turbo R. And it's like, how did you do that? Because they didn't. It's not like they went out and bought a turbo off the market and then tried to make it work like everybody else.
Yeah.
They Rotax just is like, well, we'll develop our own turbo.
Yeah, they had a really high standard for what they wanted to accomplish with the factory turbo, and so what I thought was interesting was placement of the turbo on the vehicle, and they wanted to maintain the throttle response that we expect out of an 850 NA and incorporate that into an 850 turbo. So wastegate design, wastegate control, and turbo placement, turbo size are all played a part in that. And to achieve that, they had to design, engineer, and manufacture their own turbo specifically for a two-stroke application.
And it was cool because he was talking.
crazy.
He was showing us the wastegate and the housing on the turbo, and he's like, "Okay, so here's how we did it. We built this wastegate, and then we machined a slot in it so that we could change the shape of the wastegate. Like we could go in there, be on the snow, or be in a dyno room, and we could change a different shape of the wastegate. Because if we just have like a butterfly, like a round butterfly, you have no control. Like you go from this pressure to this pressure. There's no like linear ramp up to it.
Yeah, they were seeing oscillation on the dynos, and then so they were drawing on a napkin different wastegate designs. And then when you say machining a slot in the turbo, I took it as they took an angle grinder and cut one in it, and then they would slide this angled piece in there, and they saw improvements, and they would grind on it until they saw what they wanted.
Yeah,
And that's fascinating. Someone that, I tinker on stuff in the garage, and obviously they're a lot smarter than me, but they kind of went through the same process as we would in the garage, just at a much higher level.
Well, yeah, it's like taking a race shop, back in your racing days.
Yeah.
2005 Pro Open Snowcross champ sitting right here. So back to your racing days like that, it's kind of the same thing, like hand building little small components to do something and trying kind of the same process, but you take that to Rotax, and now you've got all these resources and the ability to build a different turbo housing and build a different impeller wheel and build a different compressor wheel and change those ratios.
Yeah, and the team that understands exactly how that engine performs, and so when they're seeing small improvements, and then they know exactly what direction they need to go, and they nailed it for sure.
Yeah, they did. So diving into to our trip here, so this is October, and you flew out a day before we did. So.
Yep.
We kind of, when did they start talking to you about this trip? Was it like March, April, May?
No, like a few weeks before. Like someone had mentioned it to me, like, I don't know, in September, would you be willing to go? I said, sure. I had no idea what for, but absolutely. That sounds
really?
great. Yeah.
Man, you kind of got the late notification there.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like 3 weeks before, hey, this is happening. Do you want to do it? And I said, absolutely. I'm not going to say no to an opportunity like that.
All right.
Pass that up.
Yeah.
We were talking to them back in, they were pitching the idea like back in February, and then trying to narrow it down a little bit more in March and April. And then we said, we'll go, like you put it together, we'll go. And then the dates kind of changed, and we were like, oh man, that's like that's the day after the Utah show, and it's 2 weeks before the Montana show. And like, that's a tough window to fit. But we made it, and we had to come a day earlier or a day later than you guys because of the Utah show. But so we missed out on two-stroke karting that you guys did,
and it was insane. You definitely missed.
I
out.
missed that one. That was,
Yeah.
yeah, and we'll hit on that a little later on in the show. But so we get to Wales, Austria. We stay in Wales at this really cool old hotel downtown Wales, which Wales is kind of a small town. And then we drive the next morning out to Gunskirchen.
Yeah. Okay. There.
Gunskirchen, Austria.
I
Beautiful place.
I refer to it as Wales, but yeah, it was like we were talking before we started. It looked like a painting you see on the wall.
Yeah.
It's like gorgeous.
Yeah, it'd be like having the Rotax factory in Jackson Hole.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just the beautiful mountains off in the distance, and then you've got everywhere you go in Europe is just these beautiful old churches
Yeah.
that just kind of tie into the scenery,
Yeah.
and all the houses kind of blend. Like everything's like nature oriented. It's like driving through Colorado or Wyoming or something.
Yeah. In like
HOA
Maine.
is super strict there. Like
Yeah.
like your house has to be this color and your roof has to look like this.
Yeah. You have to keep your lawn mowed.
Everything has to be green and pristine.
Yeah.
That was a cool place. But so we get dropped off at the headquarters of Rotax. We walk into the front building and immediately we're just like checking out. Like this is just like the lobby.
Yeah.
And they had a coffee machine made out of a Rotax engine.
Yep. They had a 1962 Ski-Doo there, which was cool because that's first.
First year of the Rotax.
Yeah, exactly. Beautifully restored.
That was the 7 horsepower model. Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff to see there. And then from there, we just kind of we go. They put us in a conference room, gave us some steel toe shoe caps and safety glasses, and I'm glad they didn't make us bring our own shoes because I have a hard time finding a size 15 steel toe.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But man, the safety caps didn't really fit my size 15, so I looked like I was Shaq. Walking around there, just my feet are like
You look like Ronald
a foot and a half
McDonald.
long.
Shaq, come on.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching the SnoWest Show. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and check out all of our past episodes and get alerts on new shows. Real quick though, I just wanted to thank the companies that support the SnoWest Show. Fly Racing is the #1 gear brand in Supercross and Motocross, and they bring that same product innovation to snowmobiling. Whether it's monosuits, helmets, gloves, boots, or goggles, Fly Racing has you covered for your snowmobiling gear head to toe. Check them out at flyracing.com or at flyracingsnow on socials. Thanks to Deviant Ink for supporting the show. Head on over to deviantink.com and check out their custom wrap builder with new interactive design tools that make designing and customizing wraps easy. Their new colorizer tool randomizes color combinations until you land on the look you love. Then try the design mixer tool to see all the Deviant Ink designs in the colors you've selected. Check it out at deviantink.com. Thanks to Tempest Optics, these goggles feature an automatic lens heating system that sets the bar for fog prevention. We wear them, we love them. They have a huge assortment of lens options that are easy to swap. We get 3 to 5 rides on a single charge out of these, and they will stay charged for a very long time. No on and off switch, no external battery block, no power cords. Just charge them and ride. Check them out at tempestoptics.com and on social media. And welcome to the show, EasyLink. We've seen EasyLink products on trucks, snowmobiles, and UTVs for a while now. EasyLink connects your truck, your UTV, or your snowmobile with one device, making diagnostics, recalibrations, flash support, and factory functions easier than ever. One device, one platform, all your machines connected with EasyLink. See more at easylink.com. And thanks to Caliber Products. Caliber Products has been the leader in trailer glides and snowmobile shop wheels for years, but did you know they also do flooring for trailers and shops, ramps, and a bunch of other accessories? One of the coolest things they offer is the Traction Ladder HD. This allows your track to engage with the ramp sooner for safer, more controlled loading on any sled deck ramp or bed loading ramp. Check out all the products Caliber offers at caliberproductsinc.com. Hey, thanks again for listening, and now back to the show. Oh, man, but we start going through the plant, and just immediately, like just so much technology and refinement and processes just refined down to the most minute process on what they do. Like when we were talking about the E-TEC injectors, and we started out, I can't remember exactly where we started out, but at some point we had the E-TEC injector. They wheeled out this table. Was this like halfway through the tour, or was this the beginning?
It was in the middle somewhere.
Okay. Some reason this sticks out in my head.
Same.
This is probably when I woke up.
And it was probably my favorite, like most interesting part to me was the E-TEC injector.
Yeah. So they bring out this table, and it's got the E-TEC injector at every stage of the production process. Huh. And if you've seen those videos like on TikTok or Instagram where it's like it's either
They
3D printing,
build-
3D printing or some machine process where this part fits into this slot and it disappears because the tolerance is so tight. Like that's the nozzle of the
Yeah,
E-TEC
totally,
injector.
exactly. It's like zero tolerance out there.
Yeah.
And and that injector comes out like I have it on video and I've been going through my footage and it's like you can see it in the video, but when the nozzle is out of the injector itself and you depress it, it's so hard to see because it hardly protrudes past the plane. And then they explained to us that the injectors are like it's fully automated. They assemble the injector and they flow test every single injector. And they make 1 micron adjustments to that nozzle and then add a QR code to the side and a coefficient gets assigned to that individual injector. And that coefficient goes into your ECM for your snowmobile. So they're making 1 micron adjustments to
Wow.
control fuel, and that's why the sleds run so good. But like a human blood cell, they told us this during the tour, is 7 microns. So they're adjusting each injector individually to 1 micron variance, which is incredible. And that's why we have things like shot start, and that's why they start first pull every time. Doesn't matter if they sat all year or they're hot, they're cold. I mean, that's where the precision comes from.
Yeah, and precision is the exact word for that because it's taken away the days of like going in there with a Dremel and like modifying your crap to make it do something different. Like it's just so precise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or reading spark plugs. I don't know. In the last 15 years, I don't know if I've ever removed a spark plug.
I don't even know honestly how to get one out of a Rotax, but
I don't worry about it. I don't own a set. I don't own spare spark plugs. I don't have a spark plug tool on me ever.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But that was really cool. And then during the tour, the first day, we went into a room in R&D and they randomly pull injectors off the assembly line and they flow a fluid through them that simulates gasoline. And so they're randomly spot checking the manufacturing process by flowing these injectors. It's
that was that like clear box, right? That
Yeah.
had like injectors firing
Yep.
at the same time, and they all fire into their thing, so you can see the fluid circulating.
yeah.
But I think that like what we were watching was 10 times the lifespan that you would actually expect out of your snowmobile.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they're flow testing this at more fluid than you're ever going to do just riding your snowmobile during the lifespan that you would own it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the variance just never goes away. And it was cool. Like all along the R&D and engineering process, at every stage they were integrating AI a little bit, or had some sort of machine that observed vibrations or noises, or tried to pick up on anything out of spec before you had a failure. Because once you have a catastrophic failure, you can't really diagnose it.
Right.
If things break apart and come into pieces, it's hard for an engineer to go back and say, "Oh yeah, well this is what happened."
There's we can speak on that for a long time because that's pretty wild. But back to the injector thing, it's like those injectors cycle 600 times a second. That goes back to that precision. And then like I couldn't believe that they took us through R&D, which was really cool. And they had like 30 dynos, they said. And they still had an 850 turbo running on the dyno while we were there in a soundproof room, fully automated, runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it, like you said, has an advanced vibration monitoring system on it. So if they get something out of tolerance, they shut the engine shuts down automatically. And then they come in and autopsy the engine. So they pull it apart and they can pinpoint based on the vibration analysis where this vibration is coming from and then improve on their process from there. And that's why we have the most reliable 2-stroke engine.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, it was. And you're just sitting there thinking, because again, I'm a dumb guy from Idaho with, I grew up around farm equipment and all that crap, and a guy would carry around a crescent wrench and use that as like 40 different tools. Tolerance is not a thing in farming,
Everything's a hammer if you want it to be.
Yeah, basically. That video that Ski-Doo just released is called Beyond the Build. It's on the Ski-Doo YouTube channel. Talks about the E-TEC injectors and kind of how that process works a little bit. But yeah, that the E-TEC part, the injector side of things really stood out to me because, like you said, shot is dependent on E-TEC. No other engine can do what SHOT does and be able to start the way a SHOT system starts because it takes E-TEC to do that. It's such a high-tech fuel injection system, and it was developed for us snowmobile idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's the most bizarre part. Like this is like groundbreaking technology, and it's for us guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's because the engine only needs to turn like a quarter turn for it to fire. And that's because of the precise fuel delivery of direct injection.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that, I mean, it's neat to have a company like that is developing those, because like you said, most people wouldn't sit down and say, hey, for the snowmobile industry, let's put this kind of technology into this. But the fact that Rotax builds so many different engines, and I'm sure they have that same precision no matter what they do. Of course, they have to with some of the stuff that they build. But how cool is that to have that company building these? I don't think most other manufacturers could do the same, because I just don't think they have the power that Rotax has to produce such a precise motor for, like you said, for our industry.
And they control every part of the process. They build literally, they design, manufacture everything from start to finish. They're not outsourcing anything.
Yeah. Which I was really impressed, especially when they came out with the first turbo, like you said. I just was so impressed that it was kind of a ground up build. I don't think I expected that. When they started talking about turbos, I thought, well, we'll just start slapping them on at the factory. But even that in and of itself is pretty amazing. So.
Yeah, and that went, we can get back into that a little bit more, but that went back to more of a, like they didn't like the ratio of compressor to charge air, something like that. Like the compressor wheels just weren't weren't the right size to spool up and meet their needs for what they wanted for throttle response, because it was all about this Turbo R has to feel like a totally stock 850 E-TEC until boost kicks in.
Yep.
Because if it doesn't, then it's just going to feel like an aftermarket turbo, which is like can't carry the load because you can't move the clutch weights.
Yep.
That you're weighted for a boost.
And that makes it super hard to ride, and it wears you out too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, these things now I can put anyone on an 850 turbo. And you can just ride it like an NA. You don't have to hold it wide open.
Well, I mean, you get talking about this stuff and you think, me anyway, I think like, geez, how much do I take this for granted already? Like just a few years into factory turbos, and it's just like, oh yeah, this, it's like our diesel trucks, like 500 horsepower, 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. Yep, that's now the standard. Like no big deal. Like always expect that.
I've been thinking that this whole time, how much we take it for granted. When you're talking about it, I'm like, I wish Ski-Doo. It's neat that they, put out that video about the Rotax motor, because I think people need to know. I mean, I don't think you grasp it. I mean, we just get on them and grab a handful and go. I don't think twice about how much work went into developing that motor, but that's cool.
Yeah, and it's like the ease of ownership now.
Yeah.
It's like no more tinkering. I ride every day. I try to ride every day in the winter, and sometimes I don't even take the sleds off the sled deck, and I just put gas and oil in them the next day, and I never worry about anything. The only thing I'm looking at, I don't even watch RPM anymore, to be honest with you. I know it's
I don't
revving.
either.
Yeah, and that's something in the 90s. We're always watching RPM, making adjustments, but I know it's revving 8,000 RPM, and I just watch the fuel light all day. That's what dictates my ride now.
If you're out of fuel.
Yeah.
He's always out. We're never out. Like, oh yeah, well we're down to like half a tank, so maybe we'll start heading back.
When I see 3 bars, I know I have to excuse me, I know I have to turn around, but and then hopefully someone's carrying fuel for me.
That's an interesting point though, the sled deck thing, because you operate off sled decks, we operate off of SnoWest trailers, which I'm going to talk about here in a second because I need to.
Yeah, perfect.
Having a snowmobile that's dead reliable makes working off a sled deck very easy.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't work on them.
Yeah, you don't have to be outside working on it.
No.
And so we run these SnoWest RPM trailers, and they're totally set up to work on stuff inside. And in fact, I used to do my dirt bike builds inside my trailer. I had my tool set up on the gooseneck bench and had everything I needed in there. And I'd bring a stand, and I would just take off at noon, go grab lunch, go park up in the foothills, where the tracks and some of the trails were up there above the pumice pits, and just sit up there. And I'd spend like an hour and a half installing parts, and then I'd go ride for a little while, and then come back, and just everything was stationed out of there. But in snowmobiles, we used to have to work on sleds quite a bit in the trailers, and the trailers we had back then weren't great for that. I wish I had this Trails West RPM that I
Yeah.
have now with the 2 furnaces and all the fancy stuff in it now. But
now you don't need it.
But now
You
I
just
don't
change
need
your
it. Yeah,
clothes.
'cause all I got to do inside there is maybe put a little oil in it every now and then.
Yeah, keep your clothes warm anyway.
And I've got my onboard fuel cell, so I've got all the gas I need right there inside the Trails West RPM gooseneck, and it's a great setup for that. But yeah, that's an interesting thought because you don't have to work on these sleds, and they run so much better than anything we ever had.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some friends that are trying to get back into snowmobiling, and so they're like sending me these snowmobiles, like used ones, and they have like a pretty low budget, which is fine. And my suggestion is to them, and they're looking at Ski-Doos, is you can obviously tell by outside looking in, if it was taken care of or not, if it was stored inside, that kind of thing. And I just say, ask what kind of oil they ran. If they ran Formula XPS, I have no worries about the engine. And so I think for new riders getting into the sport, now we have an engine that we know is reliable. And like my friend for instance, bought a 22 Expert Turbo, pretty low miles, for a 22, and that's what I told him. And I said, the engine's going to outlast the snowmobile. Like, you'll hit a tree before the engine fails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to break the rest of that sled.
Yeah.
Doing something stupid.
Yeah, or you'll ride with me and you'll want an 850 Turbo R. 'Cause
Right.
more power is more fun.
Isn't that fast? Yeah, crazy how fast that progression goes mentally.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everybody has this mental block of entering the sport of how expensive it is.
Yeah.
And the performance, the performance stuff is just so high end. So they're looking for this low entry level. Then they go ride once, and that sleds on KSL immediately or Facebook
Yeah,
for sale. And they're looking for a fairly new Turbo R.
Yeah, or even then like a new 850 NA. Like I'm guilty of it, but kind of sleep on those because the performance is unbelievable. Like we had one all last year, and it's such a light little package, but just like it's funny. The first time I rode a Gen 5, and this is how dumb I am. We were in Island Park, and I rode my own snowmobile out to where we were riding, and someone's like, just grab a sled and ride it. And I got on it, and I just went ripping up this hill, and I'm like, man, they made these super quiet this year. And I rode it for a while, and I'm like, oh, this is an NA. But it was so impressive that I was like, oh, wow.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to this year more than any other recently with Ski-Doo because the 26 Summit X NA was just such a fun sled. Like we had a show last week where we were talking about that sled. We were reviewing that sled in particular, and we were talking about how the 9R Polaris 9R has always kind of been this benchmark for NA, and the 26 Summit X is right there with it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
As far as fun, playfulness, lightweight feel. When we were in Austria at Rotax, we were in some of the R&D dyno areas, and we got talking about what all of these manufacturers benchmark everybody else's product. So they're always bringing in somebody else's sleds, putting them on their own dyno, and then dynoing them. And we've been to other manufacturers, and they've given us their numbers that they see, and then we've been to Rotax, and they've given us their numbers that they pulled off, and they line up. They're the same number, which is not something you used to get. Like back in the 90s when I first got into like working with SnoWest and covering this, like brand A's dyno claim number would be like 120 horsepower, and brand B would be like 135 horsepower, and then they would be like, no, brand B would be like, no, brand A is only hitting like 110 horsepower, and they're claiming 120, and then brand B like, no, they're only hitting 95 horsepower.
Yeah.
It was just all over the map. But now all the manufacturers that we go see, and they give us their numbers of what they're doing competitor stuff, it's all the same number. Everything that's that consistent. And everybody says that the Polaris 9R is 166 horsepower. 850 E-TEC is 165 horsepower. So you're talking a 1 horsepower difference there.
Yeah.
On those two sleds. And I don't know what to think of that other than, man, that the lightweight feel of the 26 Summit X makes a big difference.
I was shocked when I rode it how light it felt. How you really feel that was 14 pounds. Mm-hmm. And then all the other changes, like the new rear shock, it's a little faster reacting, so that makes the sled more playful, and it really nails a target for what the Summit X should be. Because even myself, most days, like I like to go on an adventure, go see terrain I haven't seen before, and you're not in super steep, like unforgiving terrain most of the time. Mm-hmm. So that sled, like, you're gonna have more energy at the end of the day, and you're gonna notice it on that sled.
Yeah.
I think it's the best everyday sled that they have.
Yeah, and I was happy to see them put that into the X, because it's like the X just kind of, we're going to leave that alone. Like, it is what it is. And we're going to develop the Expert.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
cool
and I
to see
think
them.
the last few years they've done a good job of differentiating the 3 premium deep snow lineup. The free ride took its own direction. The DNA was there, but it really is for the jumper. And the Expert, had a lot of requests that we'd like to see on that vehicle, and they've really delivered. And then, like you said, that they really put a lot of energy into the Summit X this year, and that was great to see.
Yeah, that's cool. So we touched on something a minute ago back in the factory at Rotax. Some of the engineering dyno areas that we talked about that we got to see. There was the cold room, which operated down to -40. Did you know, Justin, that -40 Fahrenheit is where -40 Celsius, where they cross, where they're the same?
I think I learned that in school once, but I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I'm proud of myself. I know that.
I don't think
I didn't know that. I may have known that at some point, but I did not know that at the time. So I was like, oh, dude, okay. But so they had this dyno room, and they were running an 850 E-TEC Turbo R in that room at that time, and this room can go down to -40 Fahrenheit, which is -40 C.
Yeah.
Well, they start it. They'll let it cool down to -40.
Oh yeah,
Then they
that
start
room's
it.
the start. The
Yeah,
start
the
room.
cold
And then
Yeah.
then it starts, and then they let it run, and it comes up to temp. Not even up fully to temperature. They shut it off and restart the test, just to make sure that if you ever want to go snowmobiling and it's -40, that your vehicle
It'll
can start. We live in this small world in the mountains, but there are people in the Arctic that use their snowmobile as like a utility, day-to-day life, and they probably have animals to feed, or they have to go to the store on their snowmobile, and it has to start at -40.
Yeah. It's a necessity.
Yeah.
Not just for fun.
Yeah.
Well, and they even had brought in I think they said it was like 5 years ago, they brought in this container, refrigerated container, and set it up just outside of this engineering dyno room, where they can put a full size like Can-Am Maverick R 4-seater in it and do -40 cold starts on the Maverick. Like just the dedication to covering the extremes and making sure that this thing operates and works the way it's supposed to everywhere. That was pretty cool. But yeah, you're right. That -40 room was a start dyno.
Yeah.
They're just repeating starts, making sure every engine starts there. The one I was thinking of was the endurance room,
Yeah.
but they could also control temperature there.
Yeah. And altitude.
Yeah, barometric pressure, altitude,
Yeah.
everything there. So that room had an 850 E-TEC Turbo R.
Running at for 300 hours
Yeah.
continuously.
300 hours nonstop. That's like 20 lifetimes for me. Like
Yeah, exactly.
to hit 300 hours. Like
Yeah. Yeah, just think of how many hours,
that's like 4 rides for you.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Yeah, they usually don't shut off until they run out of gas.
Yeah, but so many hours on an engine that had never shut off, and they'd bring it down and run it at a low RPM, and then they go wide open throttle, 8,000 RPM, just hours.
It sounded like really variable. Like it sounded like someone was riding it in the backcountry, like you do. Rum, 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 rum.
Yep.
That was
So we just sat outside this room, and it's big glass windows, and you're sitting there watching all the computer monitors that display all the information and RPM and temperature and everything and load and all that. And again, at all these stations, they've got all of this technology in place monitoring everything. So if they detect anything out of spec on a noise stance, on a vibration stance, just anything while this sled's on the dyno, while this engine's on the dyno, they can go in and shut it down and go in and look at and say, okay, that oddity is coming from this. So let's address that little thing. So that was a cool station.
Yeah.
In the dyno room. Then we went into, what was that one room?
I know exactly which room you're talking about. I
The
call it
NVH?
the acoustic room.
The acoustic room.
And they didn't tell us what it was. It's in German, but it said acoustic. I could read that.
Yeah.
You walk into this room, and it was like something was wrong. Like it's
You could hear your own blood pumping inside
seriously,
your head.
yeah.
Really?
It was an odd feeling, not just an odd sound. Like you were in there, and the floor reflects sound, if that's the right word, and it had like padded walls that absorb sound. So it was dead silent. And then they had microphones and a hemisphere around this engine, and the intake was, I don't know, 10 feet outside the room, so they could isolate the intake noise. And they had a pipe they built that went into the floor. And then,
For exhaust.
yep,
So you're moving your exhaust away from the engine, you're moving your intake away from the engine, you're moving your powertrain away from the engine. So now they can create this 3D map of what the engine looks like from a sound standpoint.
yeah, they when they developed a new power pack, they totally insulate the engine from any noise, and then they peel off insulation and get a frequency reading from individual components, so they can visually see the engine through noise, and then they improve on each individual component and try to maintain the characteristics of a two-stroke engine. So it still sounds cool when you ride it, but they reduce unwanted noise. That was incredible.
Yeah. Reduce unwanted noise. So NVH, noise, vibration, and harshness. So this department also deals with like engine mounts, anything to do with harshness or vibration or noise, and just the way that they do that. Like, because I would think, okay, if I'm going to go create this NVH team, it's going to be like 3 guys that just go ride, and they're like, yeah, it's making a funny noise over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, you walk in that room, it's like, you leave me in there for an hour, I'm going to tell you, it's like an interrogation room. Like, it'll break me down.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to hear the blood flowing through my brain inside my own head because it's so dead silent in the room.
It's so crazy. That's why they're the industry leader in NVH.
Yeah, and that was who was the lady that Madeline?
Yep.
Madeline, and just you want to talk about smart. I mean, I don't know. They're not pulling these people out of Idaho.
Right.
No hate on Idaho.
No way. Well, where I went to school, anyway.
Yeah.
I'll narrow it down to that point. My personal classes, Madeline, just incredibly intelligent people that are working on this stuff. Again, over here in Austria, working on this stuff, refining all this, making sure that this engine sounds cool and doesn't make any weird noises. For us snowmobilers, riding through trees on a weekend after work in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, like over here. Like,
Yeah. And I think on NVH also comes down to reliability as well. So if you have unwanted noise and vibration, the engine's harsh, that probably equates to less reliability.
Wait, are you saying vibration is bad?
Generally,
there were a lot of bad jokes said in that room. Like, just everybody was cracking a joke there. Like, it was. I'm pretty sure those microphones would pick up that spring pretty fast.
Yeah.
Does Madeline know what you do with the snowmobiles? She's probably like, you're going to do what with this?
No, everybody understood the sport really well. Like, they understood where the product went and how it. And I can't remember if somebody asked her if she had been out and ridden. I think she had ridden snowmobiles somewhere, but I don't think it had been. Anyway, everybody's so familiar with the product and like dedicated about. Yeah, I came out of college and have this degree in mechanical engineering, and I make snowmobiles for Steve Martin to go, tail walk through trees and jump 80 feet off a cornice. And it sounds cool while he does it.
Yeah, we really take all their work for granted.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So how far? I mean, you're talking a lot about the motor. I mean, how far do you define the motor? Because then you start kind of going into how you deliver that power to the snowmobile. Do they go into that arena also at Rotax, or is that
programming ECMs and everything?
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Rotax, like it seems like every couple of years they're outsourcing fewer and fewer components. It's like well, we can't get this part to be consistent enough. We'll just make that in-house from here on out.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have a hard time if they're working at that high a level of precision. I think you'd have a really hard time getting a third party to care as much as you do.
Yeah, exactly. I think
it's really hard no matter what you do. I think, so.
Yeah, because they make their own clutches, the full CVT system.
Yep.
The turbo systems.
Crankshafts.
Yeah, they forge their own crankshaft, forge a machine.
Which is unique also to two-stroke technology. We have a two-piece forged crankshaft, which is four-stroke technology. And then with a two-piece rod, also four-stroke technology. And then plasma-coated cylinders, which we'll get into again. And that's unique to Rotax. I'm sure I'm missing something, but it's their commitment to performance and reliability. And then there was like right next to us when we were looking at that reliability or that engine that was running, right next to us was the calibration team. So they were running an 850 and
Oh yeah.
they were there working, and they just like didn't pay attention to us, and they were having discussions. They were running an engine, and then they're pointing at the screen. We didn't get to talk to them, but they're still always developing like the ECM file, which I thought was. And I do notice a difference every once in a while. Like, oh, the sled is more consistent this year than it was last year, and they didn't advertise that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's cool how, I think Rotax, especially Rotax and Ski-Doo. Ski-Doo's in Valcourt, North America, in Quebec, Canada, and Rotax is in Austria. But those two teams work, the engineering, Fred Desjardins, his engineering team at Ski-Doo works daily with the R&D people at Rotax.
Fred actually moved to Austria for 2.5 years to help develop this,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a commitment to your job.
Yeah. Would you do that?
Well, maybe if I worked for BRP, but I can tell you my job, if they asked me to work an extra weekend, I'm like, nah, I'm going sledding.
But yeah, so as that team is sitting there right next to us while we're doing this tour, doing R&D stuff, that data is going back not just to the internal Rotax team, it's going back to Fred's team at Ski-Doo. And so he's looking at that, and then Fred's team on the snow in North America is sending all of their data back to Rotax same day, and talking about if they come up with something like they come out to West Yellowstone and they'll spend a month in West Yellowstone working out of the hangar and doing some R&D here. They'll take that data that night, send it to Rotax in Austria, and let their engineers look at it, and they'll try to come up with a slightly different tweak to the calibration.
Yeah.
Just that fast.
The one thing go back to 2017, the first time I rode an 850 versus an 800R, or 800 E-TEC rather, is how fast the engine's revved up. That was an incredible improvement to me. Like back in the day in 2000s when we were running 800 Series 3 engines, fully modified. That's lightweight cranks, ported cases, ported cylinders, full race gas. They revved really fast, and that was like the goal for a snowcross engine, to be super responsive. And as soon as I got on that 850, that's the difference I saw with between 800 E-TEC and 850 is how fast the engine revved. And I think that was on their radar as well.
Mm-hmm. And that engine is lighter too. The 850
Mm-hmm.
power plant was lighter than the 800 E-TEC.
Yeah. And I think that probably helps the turbo be responsive too. But it just goes back to the, Valcourt's commitment and working with the engineering team in Austria to develop this package that we have now.
Yeah. And you just think of how many people you have access to in that situation. Like it's not just like you and two other guys trying to figure out a problem. It's you and 300-400 people in all the R&D
team
system. Trying to solve problems and come up with better technology. So we from the engineering areas, and we saw some other stuff too, but moving into the production line, and now we start walking around the production line where the engines are built, where they're pulling the case halves out of production, setting them open, dropping the crankshafts into it. But even before then, like you said, they're manufacturing their own crankshafts. So we walked around and we didn't see the actual forging process of the crankshaft, but we saw cranks that had just been forged, and I mean cases and cases of them, just that would fill up like a Costco, or a house that you're building, and these crankshafts then go through this machining process, and big, huge, look like a saw blade, just like a 3-foot diameter saw blade, going in there and just milling the crankshaft down for the main bearings, milling the journals down. Milling the connecting rod bearing surface down.
Fully automated too.
Yeah, completely automated.
Yeah, so an arm picks it up, puts it on this, machine that takes it from one station to the next, drops it in there, and like he said, those wheels would come grind the surfaces, and it wouldn't take very long, and then the arm would pick it up and it would go to the next station.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so if you're on the assembly line, the actual production line where the engine's being put together, there's people everywhere. Like everybody's got stations and all that. You go to this area of the thing, and there's not people. But there's stuff going on. Yeah. But there's just there's a guy driving a cart, with cranks that need to be milled and putting them in line for the machine to pick them up. Huh. Just the automation was incredible. And then the crankshafts would come out of there and they would go through a heat treating process. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Like just electrical conductivity.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where they would heat those elements up and then immediately cool them. I mean, they heat them up till they're bright red and then just flash spray them with a cooling mixture right there to do the heat treating process.
Yep.
That part was fascinating.
Yeah.
The connecting rods, though, do you remember that?
I do. Yeah. I was just going through the footage Friday.
Yeah. So Ski-Doo brought this. It's called a fracture split process. They bring this to the market. And they did it because when you make a connecting rod like for a two-stroke engine, and then you cut the big part off so you can mount it to the crankshaft. If you make that cut and then drill the holes in it and then thread it, you never get everything to line up. And so now you have this connecting rod spinning at 8,000 RPM, and if the cap on the bottom of the crankshaft is left or right of the actual rod, like even by a fraction of an inch, or not an inch, but a fraction of a millimeter, it creates vibration and creates issues within the engine.
And they're the only ones with a split rod in a two-stroke.
Yeah.
Because of the forged crank. Historically, two-stroke crankshafts are pressed together. Journals are pressed on, rods are pressed on, and then the bearings. But now we have a forged crank, so you have to fracture the rod.
Yeah.
And that whole station was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So they would laser etch the connecting rod, and then you used a punch to fracture it, and then a QR code is added to it, laser etched into it.
No, I think to fracture it, they had this hydraulic expanding thing that came up inside the big end of the connecting rod. After they etched it where they wanted it to break with the laser, this thing would come up and then hydraulically expand and then pop the cap
Yeah,
apart.
you're right. Okay.
Huh.
And so now you have two pieces that
Match perfectly.
match perfectly, that would interlock completely perfectly, and then they drill that out, thread it, and marry it, and put it back together, and then it gets matched to a crankshaft, gets assembled on the crankshaft, and then once it gets clamped down on the crankshaft main bearing, or on the journal bearing, it seats exactly how it was when it was broken.
Yeah.
And so you have no left or right lateral shift in that. So that was cool.
Yeah.
What else do you remember from that station, that area?
The plasma coating was right in that area as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that was pretty wild.
So what do you know about plasma coating?
Well, I didn't know anything about it until our trip to Austria.
I didn't either.
So my ignorance, I thought they were all Nicosil because that's
Oh, I knew they were plasma coated.
Oh, you did? I didn't even know that. I didn't know they were plasma coated.
Well, plasma coating started, so Lane Lindstrom, who used to be the editor of SnoWest, he went and did this similar tour in 2017 when they released the 250 or the 850 E-TEC.
Okay.
So he saw the plasma coating thing, and then it started somewhere around 2012 is when they started plasma coating instead of Nicosil.
Okay.
So I knew that, but I didn't know
I feel like
what
I
it
should
was.
have known that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really understand what plasma was. This is like lightning, like we're just spraying lightning on parts.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that is exactly what it looked like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I need welding goggles for the station. But
We're all standing there like,
Yeah.
just like staring at there.
for way too long. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it makes the cylinder walls porous so they hold oil. And maybe that's where the reduction in ring wear comes from. Because like Nicosil does not allow oil to penetrate the sidewalls, but that plasma coating does to add lubricity to the engine.
Yeah, as I understand it, so the plasma coating is it's iron, and it's because it's sprayed with, it's heated and mixed with gas, and then sprayed, and it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but they would have a cylinder block inside this machine, and then these two nozzles would get it's a 2-cylinder. These two nozzles would come down and then spin like a spray gun, and just lightning going everywhere. Just
Yeah.
and you can see the exhaust ports and the intake ports. You can just see this stuff like spewing out. So it's just coating the cylinder. But Rotax is able to do this because they have a process that cleans out all the ports, so that they can ensure that there's no leftover stuff anywhere it shouldn't be. But the cylinder wall is getting coated. So it's a super thin layer of iron, which is porous, which absorbs oil and like you're saying, like they mentioned in that Beyond the Build video on the Ski-Doo YouTube channel, you can't tell the difference in a piston ring that has 300 hours on it versus one that's brand new.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. Amazing process.
Yeah.
Could you come up with that?
No. None of that process I come up with.
I still don't understand what plasma was. what it is.
I know I've seen a plasma cutter, and I know what you're talking about when it looks like lightning shooting everywhere. But I don't.
This was
I don't
different than that
understand.
even.
Really?
Yeah, it was like straight up lightning coming out of this automated nozzle.
Yeah, it's wild. And it made, I think on a 2-stroke, it makes 6 passes. So down, up, down, up, down, up. So you get 6 layers, which winds up being, I don't know, got this written down somewhere.
300 microns?
300 microns thickness on the hair. And they, I think they came up with this for 2 reasons, because it's more durable process, it's more durable cylinder liner, but it's also better for the environment.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They're
yeah.
big on that.
Yeah.
Really big on that. What else? What else did we see over there? Because we got lost. My group got lost. Like you guys left us behind. Like we were
Had to
on
be
a
on
ride.
it. That our tour guide was he knew the process inside and out, but if you straggled behind, then you turned around and you're like, oh no, everyone's gone. But it was really interesting. What I really liked the first day, they're like, we could film, but the first day we're gonna have a film day tomorrow, so we really got to take in the process the first day. That was really cool. Do you remember when? So the first day they were making 2 strokes. Second day they were on 4 strokes, and they. Do you remember the station when the engine was completely assembled and they were running it but not firing it?
Yeah.
That was incredible to me. So they were like,
Yeah.
So they assembled the wiring harnesses assembled on the vehicle, and then it was plugged into a computer, obviously.
Just the engine, though.
Just the engine,
just
yeah.
the engine.
And then they would run the engine without firing it, so you could hear it cycling. And then they were testing all the electrical components on the computer because they're environmentally friendly. They don't want to fire every single engine.
Oh.
And then it passed the test, and then it went into this room. They closed the doors, and then it was cameras with AI were taking pictures of it to make every single zip tie, the wire looms were in exactly the right spot. It could see if the fasteners were torqued well enough.
Wow.
And that was pretty crazy.
So by the time that engine lands in Quebec to be put into an actual Ski-Doo, it's already been checked by Rotax to make sure it's not missing a dang thing.
Yeah.
That everything's in place, that it's not vibrating, because when they spin it, they're also looking for that.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing out of balance or out of spec or out of sync with it. So when they uncrate that, and then Ski-Doo, when we went toward that last year, they kind of repeat that process on their own. Once it's installed in the vehicle, they start your sled. So if you buy a Ski-Doo, your engine has been ran without gasoline in Rotax and then started in the actual Ski-Doo factory.
Yeah. And
Like it's been like double, triple checked.
Yeah, the wiring harness is in exactly the right spot. Yeah, that's pretty wild. I definitely don't put zip ties back in. Mine would fail that test. This looks good. Building mods.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What else did we see going through there?
Well, we saw literally everything.
We saw aircraft engines being built.
Yeah,
And I think you and I had to go delete some video.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. But just the access that we had to be able to walk through these factories and just look at everything. Nothing was off limits.
No.
Yeah, that was really cool to see.
We saw them assembling the turbochargers. That was really cool. So they had like crates full of just the housings, and then there were guys assembling the turbos in these little stations. We didn't get very close to it, but that was interesting as well.
Yeah.
They were doing 4-stroke turbos the last one with the film day.
Yeah, we just missed the end of like the 850 E-TEC and the Turbo R being built. Like Steve was trying to find his.
Yeah.
Like scan the
Right.
QR code.
Where's
Like,
my QR code?
where's
Yeah,
mine? I'm going to etch my name in it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The technology there was just
And
fascinating.
the amount of automation too.
Because have you been to the the Ski-Doo factory?
Yeah, with you.
Were you there last year?
Yeah. Was it 2 years ago?
It was last September.
Oh, no. Remember we went for club?
Jeremy was there when I went.
Okay.
I didn't go. I've only been to the Ski-Doo factory once. It was
Okay.
last September
Okay.
with
then,
Jeremy.
yeah, I wasn't there with you.
Okay. Yeah, that was the automation everywhere. And I'm sure all these big factories are like this. But in my simple Idaho brain, I'm just like, well, there's a guy walking around, carrying an engine, like dropping it down on the assembly line. They're like, okay, Bob, you take it from here.
Yeah, yeah.
Like everything's just on automatic carts driving through the line, and you watch people because the engine once the engine's started assembly, it never moves or it never stops moving.
Yeah.
And so it comes into your station, and you watch these ladies or these guys that are working that station, and the process is just like second nature to them. It's just like breathing. Grab this piece of hardware, scan it. Everything gets scanned, so it matches up with the right engine, and it's like a safety system, it's like a catch fail or a fail safe system.
Yep.
So if you pick up a component that isn't supposed to be on this particular engine, it won't let you. Like it'll alert you. Like, no, that's the wrong part.
Huh.
But everything's automated anyway,
That's
so
amazing.
the wrong part's never in the wrong spot.
Yep.
But just how efficient they are at assembling their part of the engine as it's moving through their station.
Yeah.
Just such a cool process.
That's
It
crazy.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. Robots going everywhere.
Yeah.
Parts going
Forklifts with
everywhere.
no driver. If you're forklift certified, you should be concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And just the amount of components there, like there had to have been 1 million connecting rods
Yep.
that we walked by. Like it just never ended.
Yep.
Like we'd be walking down rows and rows of crates full of connecting rods or crankshafts.
I didn't even think about that, but it's like, how would you keep track of all that?
Yeah. Yeah, so somebody had to develop that process of like tracking all of these parts
Yeah.
and making sure that it's the right part for the right case.
And to control quality through all this.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you couldn't do it otherwise. Like, you have to have a system in place.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
Otherwise, it would just be a total cluster.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, to be able to have built 10 million engines at that point.
yeah.
Like it's got to be.
Yeah, with that level of precision and reliability, it just wouldn't be possible. So,
Yeah, yeah, and like we talked about at the beginning of the show, talking to Roland Ensman, and what was the other guy that was there?
I don't remember
It was
his
his counter. They worked together.
Yep.
Those two guys. So basically, those two guys got tasked with, okay, here's our 850 E-TEC engine, and from the get-go, from 2017, well, not from 2020 when they released the factory turbo, they kind of not sold it. They said like, yeah, when we developed the 850 E-TEC engine, we knew it was going to be turbocharged, so we developed it to handle a turbo. And so you're like, okay, what does that really mean? And then you ask Roland, like, okay, so when they designed this engine, were they designing the turbo? It's like, no, they basically built the engine and said, here, put a turbo on it. And they knew it was robust. Like they knew the engine could handle it. Like yes, everything was made to handle a heavier load. But they basically just said to Roland and this other guy, like, come up with a turbo system and make it work. And so his first thing was like, well, we have to put a turbo on this thing and then test the engine and see what it looks like, and then go from there. And like, yeah, we put a turbo on it and I handled it flawlessly. Like there were no issues. So now we knew, okay, we're good. Now we start building a turbo, and location of the turbo was really high priority.
yeah.
And so they want, Rotax engineers want the turbo like in a certain position, and then it's like, well, okay, now it's got to fit inside a chassis, so it's got to move a little bit this way. Just this development process. That stuff is fascinating to me because at any point on any vehicle, somebody had to come up with it.
Yeah.
Somebody had to figure out, like on a Porsche or on a Superbike or on a Turbo R or on a watercraft or on an airplane,
Yeah.
how the part works and how it fits within the chassis.
Yeah, and they were saying that, on a 4-stroke engine, you just ram more air to it and add fuel, and it eats it. But 2-stroke with it's a lot more picky on the type of air, or like how the air is delivered, and so that was a big hurdle for them to get over, like turbo placement, wastegate size, wastegate control.
Mm-hmm. Because the longer the air, another difference between 4-stroke and 2-stroke, the further the air has to travel, the more it affects how the throttle response is and how the charge pressure is in your airbox and everything. And so, some things were really simple, like a bypass, and a valve inside the airbox to allow air in. But just the way they designed that wastegate, like we already talked about in the show, that's just fascinating. But to sit down and talk to the guys that figured out the first factory turbo ever, like first factory 2-stroke turbo ever in production, and we got to sit there and chat with these
Yeah,
guys.
and it was like this. It was like super informal. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part was a lot of fun. Then we went down and they have a museum there. Well, it's a room about the size of this shop, just old engines. And went down there and just saw like it's probably glory days for you, like your racing days. And
Oh yeah.
Mach Z triples, 797 triple, and
Yep. They had a 800 triple free air. My dad always, it's like my dad and I buy snowmobiles or, power sports products because of Rotax, like I'm like a Rotax nerd. So I just bought a 99 Grand Touring because it has an 809 triple in it. And then I have a 96 Summit I just bought, or my dad bought them. I'll say that, but because it has a 670 Summit or 670 Rotax in it. So seeing some of this stuff on the, like in person, and then they preserve them and restore them, and they're there on display with the placard. It's really cool. I know I asked one of the executives, like, what is your favorite Rotax ever? And like I asked that a couple times, and the 850 for them is their favorite because it's like so much technology and hard work went into such a great package. So that was pretty cool.
my favorite is the 670, like you're talking about, the Purple Head 670.
Yeah.
Because that was just an era of the sport where people were putting that twin cylinder 670 in an XLT chassis.
Oh yeah.
Pultex.
Yeah.
And the 96 Summit, when that thing came out, like that was a totally different mountain sled feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that felt more like a modern mountain sled.
Yep.
Just like floated in the snow and just like didn't really have a flat center. It would just go back and forth and wheelie and but that 670 Summit was probably my favorite Rotax.
I'm excited to see if I remember it correctly. Like I just remember it being an absolute monster on the bottom, So I want to see if that memory holds up to an 850.
I don't know. I've been around a couple sleds from the 90s, and my personal lesson is I'm staying away from them because the memories are better than the actual machine run.
That's what I'm worried about, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of forget. I mean, we keep thinking nothing can get better, but then if you look back 5 years, like, oh, we're way better than we were 5 years or 10 years or 20, of course.
Yeah.
And so
Now, my brother's got a couple XLTs that take up space at the cabin, and one of them will start. So every now and then you have to start it and move it. And it's like, no, I don't want to go back to this. No, thing's the size of an old Cadillac. Yeah. It's about 3 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
Handlebars hit you just below your knees.
Yep. Yeah. The dang that was. But the kids that didn't experience that, to be old right now for a moment, like the kids that didn't experience that and then only have like one or two riding styles that they've had to develop.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many times have you had to like relearn a riding style?
Yeah, totally. It's like it's always evolving. Yeah, and I think like you're saying, the kids nowadays, these kids nowadays have it easy. Shot, start.
It is kind of cool, though. I have to admit, I took my son out a little bit last year, and every time I've taken my kids out, I mean, they seem to pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think that, at least for some of the fun stuff that they like to do for mountain riding that makes it fun, it's definitely easier for him because he's only 16, maybe 140 pounds, 150 pounds, so he's not big or doesn't have a lot of strength to move the sled around, but he can do just about anything, and they figure it out pretty quick. So it is neat for the sport, I think, to help advance that because it's easier for these younger kids to get on them and ride them. So
yeah, the learning curve's a lot shorter now. Yeah, I've had some friends get into the sport in the last 5 years and started on a Gen 4 850, and the first ride is challenging, but you stick with this 10 rides, and by the end of the year he's like a good intermediate. But which wasn't always the case 20 years ago.
What did you start on? Like just quickly, like not to totally go off a tangent.
Kitty cat, but then when I was
like full size snowmobile though.
A Yamaha Ticer 300.
Did you?
Huh.
Yeah, I still have it.
You do?
Yeah, and then when I was like 10, when I was 9, my dad opened the Ski-Doo dealership. So when I was 10, I rode a 670 Summit because that's all we had left by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So like, that's a lot of snowmobile for a little kid, But I think that's why like I was good on mod sleds and snowcross because I was used to like the big twin in the mountains.
Figured out how it worked real fast.
Yeah.
What did you start on?
We had a Yamaha 700 Mountain Max 700. I think that was a little later, but we also had some Yamaha VMAXs.
Man, the VMAXs. Those
we had a couple
so
600s
cool
and an 800. I mean, it was fun. You could do over 100 down your mile country road, but you couldn't get it out of the mountains either, and you couldn't go anywhere with them. So they're heavy.
Yeah, the first year we were at the dealership, my dad sold out of 95 Summits. So we had 2 rental sleds, and one of them was a 377 Safari, and that was my sled for the year, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, back then you could adapt to what you had and just go have a blast on it.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be like going out right now and we're all on like, I don't know, like Neos.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have a great time.
Yeah, we would just make it fun.
Yeah. And my kids are just starting, you know, they're 10 and 12. And my little boy rode like an 81 Citation SS for a couple of years. And then last year he was on it was like an '06 Rev with a 550 fan in it. It's been a great sled. And then, because they have 200s as well, but they're race sleds now. So I don't want them hitting rocks on their race sleds. They have to be straight on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know.
I want to talk to you about karts real quick, and then I've got some other questions for you. But so you showed up in Austria. You guys landed in Vienna and then went and rode at a kart facility, and I had no idea how big the kart business is for Rotax.
So
It's bigger.
It's the biggest motorsport series in the world that Rotax runs.
Yeah. And Rotax like dominates it because they manufacture 2-stroke engines for it, like 125cc 2-stroke kart engines and electric engines. And yeah, it's like a feeder series to Formula One.
Yeah.
And you don't see that here in the US.
No.
But I thought it was just like, yeah, we make a few on the side. No, that's like Rotax's number one thing.
Huh.
Like so you rode the two-stroke karts outside. What was that like?
Oh, it was terrifying. They're 35 horsepower, 125 two-strokes, and we drove. They had the single speed and then the DD2, which they're 2-speed paddle shift, and 35 horsepower when your butt is 1 inch off the ground is insane. And they had like full slick racing tires. Took like 2 laps for them to
Which
warm
Rotax manufactures also.
Yeah, they also manufacture the tires. It takes about 2 laps to get the tires warm, and then it's like you just have to trust that you're wide open in this cart, and it's going to stick to the road, because they do. And I was just following the instructor, and then finally he lets you go, and you get pretty good at it after a while. But they rev 14,000 RPM, and on this track they'd go like 85 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh.
And like we would do these, I don't know, 10-lap motos, I guess you'd call them, races. And I was getting arm pump because like they're a handful. And like you're holding your breath everywhere because there's like some elevation to it.
Got to remember to breathe.
Yeah, you memorize a track, and so there'd be like these sweeping corners up over a hill, and I knew the cart was going to hold the line, and you're wide open. And you can't see over the hill, and so you're holding your breath, just like, I don't want to crash this thing.
Wow.
That sounds fun.
I've drove it like, there was like 10 carts. There was a pretty big group of us, so like one group would go, then the next, then one. But then like people started getting tired, so I would just stand there with my helmet on, and if no one got in a cart, I would just
go get back in.
So I went so many times.
That's not surprising because we, after the tour, so that was the first day, then we did the factory tour for 2 days, and then the end of the second day, so the third day in Austria, we go to Rotax Max Dome, which is an indoor kart facility. And part of the track is under this dome where they have like AI projection game simulation onto the track. So there's like 4 different games that will be projected onto the track.
Huh.
So like collecting coins.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, you're like driving around collecting coins like you're Mario
Like
Kart.
I was gonna say real live Mario Kart.
Yeah, and driving around like rocks. Like so you have to do like these S turns through the section, and you have to avoid like a mystery box that can take a boost away from you.
Yeah, you were trying to gain
Really?
boosts. So like it was like you press a button and your cart accelerated faster, and it had higher top speed, and so you're trying to collect them.
Yeah, because these are electric.
These are electric
carts.
now,
Yeah,
right?
so
Yeah.
these are Rotax electric motors. Not nearly as fast. You're not doing 85 in this
No.
but yeah. So you're trying to build up boosts. And guess who won?
Steve?
Yeah.
Well, he had a lot of practice on those other ones. He probably thought he was going slow.
I went there with a plan. Executed.
You did. Well, and not to talk about like physical attributes and everything, but your size is good for karting.
Yeah.
Like my whiplash effect of being my height. Your head moves like a lot farther when you slam into a wall.
They weighed us all before that, and then
Yeah.
they adjust. Then you're assigned to a cart, and then
that's cool.
And then they adjust the cart to your weight. So They were all equal.
I don't buy that.
I do.
And Ryan's like, no, they weren't.
It's funny too. You collect all these coins, and one of the guys that worked there, he's like, "Hey, just so you know, you can buy boosts in the app with those
Oh,
coins."
Oh,
And then if you didn't use them, they would go to the next race. And so I just like,
started loading up.
I emptied my account and had like 25 boosts.
I didn't know that. I was like, so I'm trying to figure out like how the heck did he get so many flipping boosts?
You had like 25 for the final, and then I was just like, for sure, everyone behind. It's guys like him,
Yeah.
could have just piled me into the second corner. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
just like,
You're
as
like,
soon
"I'm
as the
outta
light
here."
went green, I just hit a boost, and then I burned like 5 of them on the first lap. Just I had to pull away.
That's smart.
No, there were because you went up to a second level, and then you had a downhill and an uphill, and you were timing it like you were using a boost on the uphill, and then were you hitting a boost on the downhill too?
In the final, I was too, and then because like in the heat races or whatever, if I used a boost, like I thought, I don't want to hit the brakes and ruin it. But then I'm like, well, you have to still drive the track correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So then I would use a boost going downhill and just hit my marks, and then my lap times were way faster that way. So then I was just kind of doing math in my head how many laps do I have left, and I just like equally spaced them out everywhere. Just kept using them every lap until I had 0.
I'm like, man, this because he's lapping
So fast.
yeah, like a 15 lap moto, and you're like lapping everybody twice. It's like, oh, there goes Steve again. What the heck?
That's awesome.
That was really cool.
Yeah, speaking of the electric thing too, like we saw that whole process at the plant as well, but it's so far out of my wheelhouse. But it's just like everything else. They R&D'd that electric motor and the batteries, and then build them there. They showed us how they built the motor. They wind the motor.
Oh yeah, I forgot
and
about that.
They
Yeah,
magnetize it. Everything. That was incredible.
yeah, and we Rotax is like all in on electric stuff, and it's not like it's not like they're all in to replace two-stroke internal combustion. It's like all in to develop this new technology, because Can-Am motorcycles are all electric. There's obviously an electric snowmobile for rental operations and touring, like certain markets. Electric ATVs.
Yep.
Like they're just finding like, okay, where it's like Tesla, like where would an electric vehicle sell and work?
Right.
We're not trying to replace internal
Right.
combustion,
But there's
where
definitely
would
a
work.
market for it, so
Yeah.
might as well take advantage of that.
And so same thing, they're building everything themselves. They're building their own motors. Like I forgot about that we saw them sit there and like wind the copper cables and everything.
It was wild.
Yeah, there's so much to take in. Same thing as like touring the Ski-Doo factory. Just like you're walking around, it's like overstimulated.
Yeah, that's a good way for it. Yeah.
Yeah, hard to take it in. And then they sit down and they're like, well, "What questions do you have?" I'm like,
Like,
where am I?
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Yeah, that was a wild experience.
I asked one of the guys too, like, a two-stroke pipe is vital to its performance, and like how hard is it? The vehicle keeps getting smaller and smaller. We keep getting more power and more power. Like, how hard is it to maintain that performance by fitting the pipe into the chassis, and the way the pipe loops around the top of itself? That was a kind of a breakthrough for them to maintain some of that horsepower by fitting the pipe in the engine. Another thing I thought was cool too is like, I don't remember, they told us when they started developing that 850, that family of engine, the 600R 850 is kind of the same family, but they also started developing the oil we use now at the same time. So, like whatever it was, 5 years to develop that engine platform, that's how long it took to develop the oil for that engine. Because, like I saw yesterday, the promotion is like there's a rebate or you can get 3 years of warranty. Well, BRP owns an engine failure for up to 3 years. So like they have every incentive to give you or, produce an oil that's going to make the engine live as long as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, totally. So I've got some questions that are just specific to Steve Martin that I want to get into. But before we do that, I want to say thanks to Steve Cowing and Fred Desjardins for putting this trip together. They don't do this very often. I think the last one they did was 2017 when the 850 E-TEC came out. I don't know how many they've done before that, but I know my dad went for SnoWest.
Oh, cool.
Years and years ago, like when I was a kid, and like he brought back this Rotax semi.
Cool.
So that was cool to be walking through some of the places.
Yeah.
Like, hey, my dad was here.
Yeah, crazy.
And that's probably like a 35 year time span between that. But yeah, thanks Steve and Fred and everybody on the team for putting that together and bringing us out and letting us get a peek behind the scenes, because that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Really cool experience, and it just really opens your eyes to how things work and why Rotax is such a diehard durable machine, and the 850 E-TEC, like how the injection system works, why it's so precise, why shot works.
And the amount of innovation that went into a two-stroke. Such like fundamentally simple, but they took it to the extreme to extract every bit of performance and reliability out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so cool. All right, some questions for Steve Martin as a racer, as a rider. What do you miss about your open mod snowcross sled from 2005?
I think it might go back to what we were just talking about. Like maybe my memories are more fond of that, but no, it's fun to build a mod and smell race gas and listen to twin pipes. And I was talking to Fred last year, about like the current 146 freeride. I'm like, I love this because it feels like my snowcross sled from the 2000s. He's like, yeah, but it's better now. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have that sled?
Yeah. Well, I have one I won in 03, and my 05, Mark Warner still has it on display.
Okay.
I want it back
it's still
one day.
floating around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you name 5 snowmobiling companies from the 90s that are no longer around?
Companies like Slednex, unfortunately.
There's one. Okay.
This might be tough.
So speaking of Slednex, you know what's crazy about that brand? I was talking to somebody, and I won't say who, but we were talking about like that brand and just how powerful that brand is. And this guy was telling me that a few years ago, they just, for some reason, went and made T-shirts, and like dumped $100,000 into making T-shirts, and then sold them for just that fall, like a couple shows and online. Made $300,000 in a couple months just off selling T-shirts on a brand that isn't even around anymore.
That's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so there's one.
I was hoping I'd get off the hook on this. There must be a bunch, huh?
Oh, like Black Magic Racing. You remember that?
Yeah.
Those guys?
I heard, did D&D go out of business as well?
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
That might be.
There were so many performance companies back then.
Yeah. Just a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So say you get a brand new snowmobile, like when your 2026 arrives, what do you do to personalize it? Like control wise, throttle, brake, like where do you position everything, handlebars? Like what's the process that Steve Martin goes through?
I used to run the 4.7 riser on everything. And then when I went race snowcross a few years ago in that plus 30 class, an RS comes with flat bars. And then they kept lowering the bars for me. And I ended up with a 3-inch riser with flat bars. So then I'd go home and ride my mountain sled. It felt like they were super tall. So I kind of went in the middle. Now I run a 3-inch riser. And
with a standard bar.
With a stock bar, yeah. That's all I do.
How do you position the brake lever and the throttle lever? You have the throttle lever up?
No, down further than most people. Like a lot of people stand on my sled and they're like, why is it down so far? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's from snowcross because, you're sitting down leaning a lot, and I just got used to it being in that position.
Do you wrap your finger around and grab it on certain angles, or always thumb?
Always thumb, yep. And then my brake lever, I'd say just like a dirt bike, just down a little bit off center.
Okay. I was going to say, have you ran out of gas and had a day go really wrong? But I know that you always run out of gas.
Yeah, I always have. It's like my dad, for whatever reason, it's so nice of him, but he usually carries fuel for me. And then I always have another link can in the bed of my truck full. So if we get close to the truck, then it's not. But I've never had to be like towed out because out of gas. But like if you say ruined day, like sometimes it's super deep, and I'm just like, I'm sad that I'm out of gas.
Crying. I'm too tired to be sad at that point, honestly.
I'm like, man, I wish I had 10 more gallons. I could be here all day.
You are the Energizer Bunny, like it.
He does go. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Mount Rushmore, 4 and only 4. What 4 snowmobiles go on the Mount Rushmore of snowmobiling?
My 2005 snowcross sled. It was a Rev built by the race shop with a Series 3 800 in it. That thing belongs on there. I think to me, like a 14 free ride was really cool. Because we were hill climbing then, and I think they started to really dial in the free ride DNA then. It had cool KYB shocks, and it was a little stiffer, had more bracing on it. And then the 17850 probably, oh no, I'm going to take that back. The 20 and a half 850 turbo, I think that's a milestone. I think 30 years from now, we're going to look back and that snowmobile changed the industry. And then,
You're going to wish you had one of those hanging in the shop.
yeah, totally. And then, yeah, probably the 26 Expert with a 32-inch front end. I think that's another leap forward with that skinny front end.
All right. Same concept, but a little harder. Riders. What 4 riders in the history of snowmobiling belong on the Mount Rushmore of snowmobiling?
Blair Morgan, for sure. I think when I was a little kid, you could see it. With snowcross, everyone sat down, feet locked in the stirrups, and that worked. Like all the greats did that, Kirk Hibbert and all those guys. And then I saw Blair the first time I saw him. He was a triple-digit dude in West Yellowstone, and like just this kid.
734.
Yeah, that's right. I have a picture of it somewhere, and I think that took snowmobiling in a different direction. So he's on there for me. Carl Kuster as well, because I remember him from snowcross, like when I was a kid watching him race, and he had the same style, but he's such a versatile rider. Like he was an amazing snowcross racer. He still is an amazing hill climb guy, and he's probably one of the best backcountry guys I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Desjardins, I think, just for the things the 850 two-stroke turbo, he's pivotal in that. And
You know how long he's been around the engineering team though? Like you mentioned the 95 Summit, the 94 Summit, that chassis. He was on the engineering team for that.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it works, and he's behind the scenes and belongs on the Mount Rushmore. But I need a 4th one. Do I get any? Who else would belong on the 4th one? Ryan Harris.
I was going to say, I could always put Ryan on there.
I'd just put Claire Martin on there. Your dad belongs to be on there.
Yeah.
And what do you run for snow tires? What's the best snow tire you've ever ran on your truck?
I'm so cheap outside of snowmobiling. Like whatever's cheap at the tire store. Like my truck has, I think it has Maxxis on. No, I might have some off-brand on it now.
Just whatever.
Yeah, and they told me the price of tires 2 years ago, and I
Yeah.
about crap my pants. He's like, "Well, you got to pay to play with the big boys." I'm like, "I don't want to do that anymore."
No, it's insane. Like you could spend $2,000 a tire on these things for
Yeah.
37s.
Yeah.
On these trucks.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand for sure on the
that's
tires.
wild.
So.
I like the AT2s, but they wear out too fast.
So this is a fun question to ask because like Rob Hoff and I will have text conversations just back and forth about, he'll send me he sent me a video link, like a YouTube video of somebody with it that snow tested 4 different tires, and it's like really breaking it down because some people really want like the best snow traction but still a good AT tire or whatever, and then people like you are like, I don't care, I just throw something on the truck, I'll get there.
Whatever I'm running now, it'll come to me eventually. But I was like coming up to the Island Park, and I was like, man, sled decks with 2 sleds on them, and if you don't rotate your tires, destroys the rear tires.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, they were bald, and Tony Jenkins made fun of me the year before for having bald tires. So I went in like 2 days before and got new tires, and then I was driving up here, and my truck was all over the road. Like the speed limit's 80, and I couldn't even go 80. It was just like felt like I was driving a bowl of soup, And once they wore down a little bit, it was okay. But man, a handful. Tires, it's a sore subject for me. I hate buying tires.
Yeah, I don't think anybody loves buying them.
Yeah.
That's a pain. Okay, last question. And I've had this on my list, and then Trevor at Deviant Inc., he done some cool stuff on social media asking people controversial questions. So one of the questions I had on my list that we also got to answer for Trevor on his social media thing is, should people be talking more about where the good riding spots are, or should you be keeping that secret?
I think you should be talking about it more.
Oh,
You
put it on me. All right.
I don't talk about where someone sent me an idea for an app they wanted me to test out, and they're like, yeah, you just like locate like if you find a cool jump, you just like put a pin in it so other people can find it. I'm like, I didn't even answer. I'm not doing it.
So let's answer that question.
Yeah.
What do you think on that one, Justin?
I don't know. That one's hard. It kind of depends on who you're talking to. I mean, for the average rider, it's hard because a lot of times they don't know where to go. Like and we're just talking maybe even just decent riding where you could get into a little snow and the trails aren't too bad in and out if they got to ride a trail in. But I mean it's hard. It's hard when you don't protect. I mean you've done it where you take people into a really neat area and then the next weekend you see them and all their buddies' trucks parked right at the trailhead, and you're like, well, I thought this was kind of a thing where I took you, which I know that can extend on, but that's also hard because then there isn't as much snow to ride. So I don't know. That's a tough question.
Nothing's a secret anymore, and the sleds are getting so easy to ride. I've noticed like spots where 10 years ago were like me and my friends, our spots, but it was kind of hard to get to. Mm-hmm. But now it's like easy for people to get to, and they're adventuring more. But like I ride weekdays, so. Yeah. If it snows Saturday, I'll be in your spot Monday.
Yep. And we ride weekdays too, but like we can go up on a Thursday and it'll be tracked out and hammered.
Yeah.
After it snowed on Monday.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, Steve, that maybe is a point. I mean, there probably are places that certain people shouldn't have a pin to, too. So I know that sounds bad, but I know it's getting easier to get into some places, but I don't think there's some backcountry locations that some people should be riding in until they have the skills or backcountry knowledge to be there.
Yeah, so. It probably comes out of avalanche safety too. You don't want to expose people to dangerous terrain.
Yeah, but I think we're just entering into a new. It's just going to start because of the GPS tracking, and now you're going to be able to. At some point, you're going to be able to share files, and I've seen that on like the 7S display. Those riders, you can download. They have like hotspots, and like you can share hotspots. And so now, a group, let's blame the Midwesterners. A group from Minnesota comes out, and one guy knows how to get into one of our local zones, and then shares that spot with another group that comes out, and they bring 20 riders out, and then they go into that, and from there it's a snowball effect to the point where everybody can get into that spot. But my question is, would you rather have 100 more people riding an area that is kind of your local zone and more of it being tracked up, or would you rather that half of that gets closed off?
No, you just let everyone enjoy it.
Yeah.
And use it responsibly and leave it better than you found it. And then, it's nice to be the first one in the zone. But tracks never ruined my day before.
Right. Good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we've seen that. I mean, we've seen that up in Island Park. Like stuff's getting closed down, and and the more people know about it, the more people write about it, and the more people are vocal about it, the harder it is to get that stuff shut down. But when everybody treats it as like, that's my spot. I'm not telling anybody. I'm not taking your crew there. Me and my friend are going there. Like that's our spot.
Yeah, but we're being silly about it it's I've never been rolled up into an area I ride and two people are there. I'm like, I'm just like whatever.
Well, you need to come right out of the park a little more when you roll up and there's 150 people up there.
I can imagine.
like Island Park, West Yellowstone. I mean that's what it's there for, and it's a great location for that because there's so many restaurants and hotels and places to stay and dealerships. There's so much support there for snowmobilers to come ride that area, and that's what it's for. It's public land. Come ride it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come ride it and explore it.
Yeah. And then we want more people enjoying it. So
yeah, and most of the time, I think you can find zones and areas or trees or something. There's always somewhere to ride. So
yeah. So. And at the end of the day, it's just going out riding your snowmobile with your friends. So
well, and you can. I feel like you can go have. Because of today's snowmobiles, you can go into a smaller area and have more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because the snowmobile is so much more capable of creating fun. You don't have to necessarily go find the terrain to make it fun. I don't know.
Yeah. Last year we were in Island Park, not far from your cabin, and it hadn't snowed for a while, and there was a lot of tracks, but Tony Jenkins took us to a spot, and it was like, probably could throw a rock and hit your cabin, and he had us all stuck, Mm-hmm. So just have to be creative sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and there's, like you were saying, Justin, like there's a lot of places that you can find, and a lot of them are on the way to what everybody thinks is like the big country.
Yeah. They'll ride right past a lot of it, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Steve, last question. You've seen me ride. I struggle. I'm not. I'm
You
not.
do not struggle.
I am not Steve Martin caliber. What are some tips that you see that would make most people a better rider?
It's this is I should do a video on this. I see this a lot, and I see this from experienced riders. Like people riding technical terrain, and I don't see this in you at all. But if you're like side hilling, say you're uphill ski, the downhill arm, that like I think it's bad to have the elbow tucked into the side, because I've tried it because I see it and it looks goofy to me, and then you have to like fight the sled with like your core muscles on the right side, your right arm, your right shoulder. But if you just bring your elbow up and then like you're letting the sled do all the work. That's a big one I see is not keeping your elbows, not even necessarily up like motocross guy, but just get like that outside, like say the skis in the air. Let's say you're doing a left-hand turn, get that right elbow off the side of your body.
I think I actually do what you're talking about because I can feel myself like I'm actually leveraging against my body.
Yeah, and
like pulling in.
And I feel like you're using too much forearm strength, and it puts your shoulder into this weird area, and you're like fighting the snowmobile to stay on one edge. But if I'm like, then I can ride looser if I get my elbow up a little bit. I see that a lot.
All right, I lied. That wasn't the last question. This is maybe the last question. I don't know. We're going pretty long here, but there's just stuff popping into my head. Talk to us about the lay down steering system. Why does that work? What is better about lay down than vertical?
To me, vertical, when I ride it, if you're standing right at the footwell and standing straight like a pencil, and the sled's not doing anything wild, then it's okay. But where I've noticed it, where I'm being super aggressive and carrying a lot of speed, and I'm off like trying to transfer weight to the back to get my front end over something, and I'm counter steering at the same time. When I'm counter steering, the hand furthest away from me, the handlebar feels lower than the hand closer to me, and it's like the bars are hitting me in the face. Whereas lay down steering, it's working more on a plane, and then the handlebars are never in my way, especially in a neutral position. I cannot ride vertical steering super aggressive without the bars being in my face for some reason.
Interesting standpoint.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll say that's the last question. I don't have any more. Do you have anything?
No.
Do you have any good questions over there for him?
No.
I mean, he's here. He's got to turn around and drive back to Wyoming right now.
That's not that bad. I'll just put in a SnoWest podcast and enjoy the trip.
There you
There
go.
There you go. All right. Well, Steve Martin, thanks for joining us on the SnoWest show coming up here today. It's cool to hang out in Austria with you and tour the Rotax plant and meet everybody over there. Justin Stevens, thanks for taking time to come into the show here. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed to the SnoWest Magazine YouTube channel. You get alerts on new episodes, and it helps us go out and generate more content and do more of these episodes. You can also listen to these just audio format. We're available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can just, like Steve's talking about, just turn them on and drive. Everybody in this industry's got some drives ahead of them coming up this season. So audio formats are great for this. So find us on Spotify, find us on Apple Podcasts. And yeah, if you're on the SnoWest Magazine YouTube channel, please hit subscribe. Go to snowwest.com and subscribe to SnoWest Magazine. 52 years in production there.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Still plugging away. Great articles there. A lot of good content. It's a different type of content than what we're doing here. We can really expand and put stuff out there. And, social media is like rapid content. Like I can put stuff out that just happened, but it disappears immediately. And once you've scrolled past it, like you're never scrolling the other direction to go find it.
No.
Magazines just really are something that sit around and last the whole season. Good content to read. A lot of good stuff that really saturate your brain with. And then check out some of the merch that we have there on snowwest.com. We got hoodies and t-shirts and a lot of fun things. And I do want to say we've got a fun event coming up in Island Park in January 15th, 16th, 17th, that weekend. It's the Out West Sled Fest with SnoWest Show and Climb. It's going to be held at Sawtail Mountain Resort in Island Park, Idaho. A lot of cool things going on there. You can find them on social media and on the website, outwestsledfest.com. If you get pre-registered. Is an option to sign up for a VIP dinner there. I recommend you do that. It's going to be a small fee, but it's kind of like you get a grab bag full of a lot of cool swag. You get a VIP dinner. You get to hang out with a lot of industry people. And that's going to be a fun weekend. Again, that's coming up in January, outwestsledfest.com. But again, thanks for listening, and thanks for driving up here, Steve, and thanks for coming in, Justin.
Thanks.
We'll
Yeah.
catch you next show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.